"The Lord is my shepherd." For most of us, that opening line conjures a very specific picture, usually something from a children's book involving a quiet hillside, a harp, and a general sense of peaceful comfort. But David, the author of this poem, was not sitting in a padded room. He spent his early years entirely alone with sheep in terrain that routinely killed both animal and man. His actual resume included surviving open exposure to freezing desert nights and physically fighting off lions and bears with his bare hands. Later in life, he lived as a fugitive, hiding in caves and constantly running from execution. In the ancient Near East, calling someone a shepherd was a heavy political statement. Kings across Egypt, Babylon, and Mesopotamia used the title to claim absolute authority and total protective power. Pharaohs literally held a shepherd's crook to symbolize this right. So when David opens his most famous poem by stating, "The Lord is my shepherd," he is making an enormous claim. He is saying the God of Israel does not delegate his care to subordinates. He handles it himself, and he does it far better than any earthly king who ever claimed the title. Psalm 23 is a survival manual written by a man who navigated lethal environments and lived to write about it. Take the first environment he mentions, green pastures and still waters. In the arid Judean wilderness, a green pasture is a rare anomaly. A shepherd has to scout the harsh terrain, navigate away from rushing water, and physically guide the flock to a calm spot. It requires intense, deliberate work. David writes a phrase carrying heavy weight: "He restores my soul." The Hebrew verb is shuv, meaning to return, the primary word for repentance. Lost sheep don't find their way back. Shuv means the shepherd physically carries back an animal that wandered off to die. God's initial provision is an active rescue mission. It is the shepherd hunting you down and carrying you home when you cannot save yourself. Then, without warning, the terrain shifts. David enters the valley of the shadow of death, a place so dark you cannot see what is ahead of you, where the walls close in and predators wait at the top of the ridge. In ancient shepherding, a dark ravine like this is almost never a mistake. It does not mean the shepherd lost the trail. Geographically, some steep valleys are the only viable route to reach the next safe pasture. The darkness is a necessary passage, and the shepherd walks in first. Right at the moment David enters this darkness, the grammar of the poem abruptly snaps. For the first 3 verses, David describes God to someone else in the third person. He leads me. He makes me lie down. He restores my soul. But inside the valley, David is no longer talking about God. He speaks directly to God. The language shifts to, "For you are with me." This shift is not a random stylistic choice. Depending on how you count the Hebrew particles, Psalm 23 contains roughly 55 words. At the exact mathematical center of the poem sit 3 specific words: Ki ata imadi, for you are with me. Everything before this phrase leads up to it, and everything after flows out of it. The architectural heart of the poem is the sudden, intimate presence of the shepherd, standing right beside you inside the worst part of the journey. Coming out of the valley, the metaphor shifts. David is no longer a sheep in a field. He is now an honored guest at a host's table. Notice the specific detail of this scene. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. The danger has not left the room. The enemies are still there, watching. In ancient covenantal hospitality, preparing a table for someone was an absolute declaration of protection. A host serving you a meal was drawing a line in the sand, stating clearly that anyone who touches you must go through them first. God does not wait to fix your situation or eliminate the threat before offering you rest. He sets the table and provides overflowing abundance right in the middle of unresolved danger. The final verse promises that goodness and mercy shall follow me, but the English word follow misses the weight of the original text. The Hebrew word here is radaf. It is a harsh military verb used over 140 times in the Old Testament to describe hostile armies relentlessly hunting down their enemies on the battlefield. Pharaoh radaf the Israelites to the Red Sea. David spent his entire adult life being hunted by assassins and armies. He knew exactly what it felt like to look over his shoulder in fear. And here, he uses that exact trauma to frame an incredible irony. He realizes that he is now being aggressively hunted down by God's hesed, his loyal covenant love. God's love does not wait politely, trailing behind you at a safe distance. It is an aggressive pursuit that will never stop running until it catches you. In the Judean wilderness, a shepherd did not sleep in a separate, comfortable tent while the flock huddled outside. A sheepfold was a rough stone circle with a single narrow gap. The shepherd slept physically inside that gap. His own body was the barrier. This physical reality reveals the "you are with me" sheft. God refuses to delegate your care. He steps into the valley, becomes the physical door, and takes the hit for the flock.